All right, so 1.4 deals with system of equations. So we're going to start with 2 systems of equations, and then tomorrow we'll get into 3 systems. So when we have 2 equations, what we need to do first is to eliminate one of our variables. So we have an equation with an x and a y, and we have an equation with an x and a y. So we need to line up our x's, which here they're already lined up. We need to line up our y's, and then on the other side of the equal sign is going to have some number. Now we want to have it so we can easily combine our x's, combine our y's, and we eliminate one of them. So here we can see we have a positive y and a negative y. What happens when we add y minus y? What do we get?
Cancels out.
It cancels out. So here our y's are going to cancel out. So once we have it set up where we can cancel one of our variables out, we just add everything else together. So we're going to add x plus x, which gives us 2x. Our y's we said cancel out. And then we add negative 3 minus 1, which would be negative 4. And then we can just solve for x. So what would we do here to solve for x?
Multiply by negative 2.
We divide by 2. Right, since 2 is being multiplied to x, to get it to the other side, we divide both sides by 2.
Yeah, sorry.
So we have negative 4 divided by 2, which gives us x is equal to what?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. So now that we have a value for x, we can take this number, plug it into x in one of our equations, and solve for y. So it doesn't matter which one we plug it into. I'm just going to plug it into the first one. So we have negative 2 plus y is equal to negative 3. To get y all by itself, I'm just going to add 2 to both sides, so it'll cancel out on the left, and we get y is equal to negative 1. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. So here we can already start. We see that we have a negative 3y and a positive 3y, so we can just start by combining the 2. So when combining our equations, we add everything together. So x plus 2x is 3x. Our y's cancel out. And then we have negative 12 plus 3, which is negative 9. What do we need to do to solve for x?
Divide by 3.
Awesome.
And you get negative 3.
Perfect. So we get x is equal to negative 3. Then what do we do with this? What should we do next?
You plug it back in.
Perfect. We take it and plug it into either one of our equations. It doesn't matter. I'm going to plug it into the first one. So you have negative 3 minus 3y is equal to...
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You'd get the same answer in whichever equation you plug it into.
Okay, thank you.
I always like to plug it into the one where like the numbers seem easier, just because it'll be less work.
Yeah.
So like here, I just have x all by itself. Here I would have had to multiply it by 2. We can do it either way, but I just wanted to save myself the step of multiplying it by 2.
Yeah, I get you.
So now to solve for y, we add 3 to both sides. So we get negative 3y is equal to negative 9. And then we divide by negative 3. So what do we get for y?
3.
Awesome. Any questions here? All right, let's take a look at number 3. So here we see that we don't have anything that we can just cancel out right away. And we don't have our y's lined up. We have a y over here and a y over here. So first thing I'm going to do is line up our x's and line up our y's. So we have negative 4x, we need to add our 6y over to the other side, and then subtract 12 to get that to the other side. So it always has to be in standard form where you have your x, your y, and then your number. So we have negative 4x plus 6y is equal to negative 12. Everybody with me so far? I'm going to take the silence as a yes. So now we're looking at these two equations here. Again, we don't have anything that we can cancel out right away. So what we need to do is change one of our x's or one of our y's to get it to a number that we can cancel out. So looking at our x's, what should this negative 2x be to give us something that'll cancel out with this negative 4x?
Times the whole equation by 2.
We need to times it by negative 2 because we want it to be a positive 4. That way it'll cancel out. And since it's a negative 2, we just have to multiply it by a negative 2. But awesome. Good job, Leanne. So we multiply everything by negative 2. So our first term, our second term, and our third term. Negative 2. So now our top equation, which I'm just going to write it down here, is 4x, 3y times negative 2 would be minus 6y is equal to, and then 12 times negative 2 would be negative 24. So now that we have a term that can cancel out, we combine our equations together. So negative 4x and 4x cancel out with each other. We add our next two together, so 6y minus 6y, this becomes 0. They cancel out with each other. And then we have negative 12 minus 24, which is negative 36. Does 0 equal negative 36? No.
No.
So here, this is a special case, and we would have no solution. So when both your terms end up canceling out, and you get 0 is equal to some number that's not 0, it's no solution. Any questions here? All right, let's look at number 4. So the first thing we want to do is line up our x's and line up our y's. So I'm going to move our x to the other side of the equation by adding x to both sides and then subtracting y on both sides. So our top equation is going to become x minus y is equal to 1. And then I need to move our x on the second equation to the other side and move the 3 over to the right. So our second equation becomes negative 3x plus 3y is equal to negative 3. So all I did here is some rearranging. Remember, if you move something to the other side of the equation, the sign changes.
Miss Carver?
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused on what you're doing at the top,
So,
like the changing of the equation.
okay, I'll write it down here. So 0 is equal to 1 minus x plus y. I want our equation to be x, y equals a number. So I need to get my x and my y to move to the other side of the equal sign. So I'm going to, since we have a minus x here, I'm going to add x to both sides, so it'll cancel out on the right, and then I'm left with x is equal to 1 plus y on the left, on the right. So then now I want the y to go to the other side, so I'm going to subtract y from both sides, so it'll cancel out on the right, and I get x minus y is equal to 1. I just want my
Okay.
equation to be in this form. So I just have to do some rearranging. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now that we arranged both of our equations, now we need to get our variables to cancel out. What do we need to do to one of our equations to get a variable to cancel out?
Times it by 3.
Awesome, so
Top.
we need to times our top equation by 3. So we multiply every single term by 3. So our top equation, which I'll write it down here, becomes 3x minus 3y is equal to 3. Now that I have a term that can cancel out, we combine our equations. So negative 3x plus 3x is 0. Those cancel out. 3y minus 3y is 0. And then negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Here we have another special case. When we get 0 is equal to 0, this is all solutions. So it doesn't matter what number we plug in for x here and what number we plug in for y. As long as we plug in the same x in this equation and the same y, we will always get a solution to this. So every value works for x and every value works for y. Any questions here? All right, let's go to number 5. So these are our two special instances. We could either get no solution or all solutions, or we will get just one solution. So 3 types that we could have. Let's look at 5. What's the first thing we need to do here?
Plus 4y.
We can add 4y to both sides to get our y onto the other side of the equal sign. So we have negative x plus 4y is equal to 12. What should we do for our second equation?
Wait, well, why do you have to, like, why can't you just move because it's on the same side as the equal sign?
We want
So,
it always to be x, y, and then equals a number.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. What do we need to do for our second equation?
Minus the x and y.
So minus the x and y. What we could do, we can definitely do that, but we could also just move our equals 4 to this side. This is the same equation when we say negative y plus 2x is equal to 4. All we did was move our equal 4 to the other side. This is the same thing as saying if we had a is equal to b, that means that b is equal to a. We can just write it in the either way. So we have negative y plus 2x is equal to 4, and then we can just rearrange our x and y just by putting the x first. So 2x minus y is equal to 4. So here I didn't have to bring anything to the other side of the equal sign. I just rearranged what was on that side. So again, if I had a plus b is equal to c, I could also write b plus a is equal to c. So I can just reorder what I'm adding. And we get the same answer. So our second equation here is 2x minus y is equal to 4. Everybody with me?
Why doesn't the 4 become a negative when you switch?
because we didn't like move it to the other side of the equation, all we did was just, instead of saying like x is equal to this, we just said this is equal to x. Like we just flipped our order. Like here, these are the same exact thing, but we don't have to make it negative when we move it to the other side. All we're saying is, like, we could write 4 plus 2 is equal to 6, or 6 is equal to 4 plus 2. So it's just writing our equal sign on the other side, and it's the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what do we do next? Remember, we need to cancel something out. So what do we need to do to cancel one of our variables out?
Multiply by -4.
So we're either going to try to cancel out our x's or try to cancel out our y's. Which one are you trying to do?
Why? So you multiply by 4.
All right, so we can multiply our second equation by 4 to get our y's to cancel out. So our second equation becomes 8x minus 4y is equal to 16. So now we're looking at these two equations here. We can just cross this one out so we don't pay attention to it. Now that we have a variable that will cancel out, we can combine our terms. So we have negative x plus 8y, which is negative x plus 8x is 7x. Our y's cancel out. And then we have 12 plus 16, which is 28. Then we can just divide both sides by 7, and we get x is equal to 4. Now that we found x, what do we need to do to find y? What do we need to do to find y?
Plug in for x.
Plug in x. So I'm going to plug it into the second one. So I have 4 is equal to negative y plus 2 times 4. So 4 is equal to negative y plus 8. I can subtract 8 on both sides. So we get negative 4 is equal to negative y. What do we get for y?
Wait, I have a
Positive
question.
4.
Positive 4. Yes, what's your question?
So, like, at the top right, how did that negative x and 2x become an 8x? Like, why are we multiplying by 4?
Because we need one of our variables to cancel out. So we started with the two blue equations.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can either cancel out our x's or cancel out our y's. Sydney said she wanted to cancel out our y's, so that's why we multiplied everything in our second equation by 4. That way we could get our y's to cancel out. Because if we have a positive 4y and a negative 4y, they'll cancel out. So we had to multiply everything by 4 to get our y's to cancel out.
Okay.
If
Thank you.
we wanted to, we could have started by multiplying everything on the top by 2. And that way we could have canceled out our x's. It all just depends on where you want to start. We can cancel out our y's first. We can cancel out our x's first. You can pick.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's look at number 6. All right, here, these are already in the same order. We have our x's, our y's, and then our numbers. So we can just go ahead and start by looking at our variables. Can we combine these, or do we need to multiply by some number first?
You can combine them, like the y's.
Right, so we see that our y's, if we combine them, they'll cancel out. So we can just start by combining our equations. So we add our 5x plus 2x and get 7x. The y's cancel out, and then we get 4 plus 3 is 7. We divide both sides by 7, and we get x is equal to what?
1.
1. What do we do to find out what y is? What can we do to find out what y is?
Plug in x.
Plug in our x. So we plug in 1 for x. I'm going to plug it into the second equation. Again, it doesn't matter which one you plug it into. So we have 2 times 1 plus y is equal to 3. 2 times 1 is 2. What do you guys get for y?
One.
1. Awesome. All right, let's do one more together. Let's do number 7. So how should I rearrange our top equation? What do you guys get when we rearrange it to be x, y equals a number?
Add 4 to the other side.
We can add 4 to the other side. Perfect. So we get negative 4x minus y is equal to positive 4. And then what about our second equation?
Subtract x on the other side.
Perfect. We subtract x on both sides. So we get negative x minus 2y is equal to negative 6. Now we need one of our variables to cancel out. So do you guys want to cancel out our x's? Do you want to cancel out our y's? And what do we need to multiply to do that?
You can multiply by -2 to cancel out the y.
Perfect. So we're going to multiply the top by -2. So our top equation, which I'm going to write it down here, becomes 8x. -2 times -y would be a positive 2y. And then -2 times 4 is -8. So now I'm going to combine these two equations here. So I have negative x plus 8x, which would be 7x. Negative 2y plus 2y cancels out. And then negative 6 minus 8 would be negative 14. What do you guys get for x?
-2.
2.
Perfect. -2. So now what do we do with our x is equal to -2?
Plug it in for x.
Perfect. We plug it in for x. I'm just going to plug it into the second equation. Again, it doesn't matter which one we plug it into. So I get negative 2y is equal to -6 minus 2. -6 minus 2 is -8. So -2y is equal to -8. what do you guys get for y?
4.
Awesome. So our x is -2 and our y is 4. All right, so I did 7 of them. I think you guys have 10 left to do for homework. 18.